Awesome one! I'm coming! Awesome one! I'm coming! Awesome one! I'm coming!
Hey, I thought we were filming today.
We are. Had to get a Kung Pao reference. Double our voices. Ha ha!
You're still dubbing us.
We're children! We're children! Do you like fun and adventure? Then sit back and enjoy the Brothers Not Lovers as they discuss all things movies. What's overrated or underrated? What makes you go really? Or how dare you? Or even just simply how funny this movie can be. You have the insightful, intuitive Davey, who is awesome. And you have the film bestie, Josh. He's there. Hi, I'm Davey.
Dude,
and I'm awesome.
knock it off.
Don't touch me! And I'm awesome. And this is Josh, the film bestie.
That's not my name. That is not my name.
I'm sorry. And this is Disos of Monte Carlo.
It's Tuco Montequilla.
Disparza Montana. Whatever. And this is Overrated, Underrated, where we talk about movies and discuss whether or not we personally feel they are either overrated or underrated. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. I'll go ahead and get us started. My first movie that I think is overrated, and I know a lot of people are going to give me a lot of heck for this, but I've hated this movie ever since I saw it in theaters and fell asleep during it.
Overrated, underrated. That's what we're doing right now. We talk about movies. Some we think are underrated, some are overrated. Sometimes we don't agree. Forgot to do your part, man.
First movie I've hated since I saw it in theaters and fell asleep halfway through because honestly this movie was so boring. And then later when it came out on VHS tape, yes, we're that old. I saw it again, fell asleep again, because this movie is freaking boring. This overrated, yet one of the highest grossing movies ever, called Jurassic Park.
Ignorant, callous, unfeeling, scruffy looking nerf herder!
So you're going to tell me that a movie that I think is overrated is not overrated by quoting one of the best sagas ever?
Sorority Babes of Slimeball Bolorama?
Oh, I heard Nerf Herder and I thought of Star Wars.
The hell's Star Wars?
It's a movie about wars in the stars. Isn't that a concept that blows your mind? Jurassic Park got a lot of love, made a lot of money, and I really don't understand it. It spawned 2 terrible sequels and a remake that I haven't seen and I don't plan on.
Jurassic Park was a masterpiece.
Why? Because they had dinosaurs in it? Oh, who cares?
No one had ever seen anything like that in movies before. All they had was claymation and stop motion. They didn't have anything that good.
Okay.
And the acting was great.
Okay, I'm not saying the acting was bad.
Jeff Goldblum!
Okay, yes, it had Jeff Goldblum. And I'm not saying the acting was bad. And yes, it was aesthetically pleasing. But looking good is not enough to make it a good movie. The story lagged on. There was not a lot of action in it, despite what everybody says.
Plenty of action.
There was not, despite what everybody says. And it was just a bore fest. It was a horrible story, again, early days with a bunch of great effects.
Dude, it had Samuel L. Jackson versus Velociraptors.
He was hardly in the movie, so he wasn't in it enough to make it worth it.
I get 5 minutes of Sam Jackson and I'm pumped.
No, I'm sorry, but it was overrated. It was boring. And then nobody argues that Jurassic Park 2 and Jurassic Park 3 were terrible. From what I hear, Jurassic World is great, but you know, even bringing in Chris Pratt, no, I'm not falling for it again.
What was the first thing you fell for?
Thinking those movies might be entertaining to watch. Okay, you can put Star-Lord in it all you want. I'm staying out of it. You can't just put dinosaurs in there and make me go, ooh, dinosaurs. Okay, I'd already seen The Land Before Time, thank you.
In spite of the fact that the original 2 sequels were lackluster, it is a great film series, and I like where it's going. They have to be very careful where the next movie goes. they gotta be careful. But it's still a great movie.
The only way I'm seeing the next movie is if they put Ron Swanson in there. For the next one, I'm going to do an underrated.
Where are you, Harold? Where are you?
Did Harold look like Mario?
No.
Okay then. Because
Kind of looks a little like a fat John Leguizamo.
this is a movie I felt is very underrated. Everybody bashed this movie. It didn't get a proper sequel because of everybody bashing it, and I don't understand it because honestly, this is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I've watched it many, many times, and that is The Punisher, the one with John Travolta and Tom Jane. It was the best Punisher movie they ever made.
Warzone.
Warzone?
Warzone was better than that one.
How so? The acting in Tom Jane's one was great. The one in Warzone was...
The acting in the Thomas Jane version was PG-13 and over the top. That was not Punisher.
How was it over the top? The acting in Warzone was over the top. Because
Dude, they had John Travolta as the villain in that. When has that ever worked?
many times.
They never worked, Davey.
Face Off, Battlefield Earth.
You are pulling down heaven and raising up a whore.
It had Laura Herring in it.
Mm.
Yes. Laura Herring.
Also had Samantha Mathis.
Warzone had B-movie style acting. It went to theaters, but you could tell originally it was just going to be a straight to DVD thing. It wasn't that great. It was okay. I like the portrayal of Jigsaw in that, but to say that that was better than Thomas Jane's? Thomas Jane's had Kevin Nash!
That movie was terrible.
It was not terrible. It was great. It was one of the best Marvel movies that came out.
You didn't tell me that's better than the Dolph Lundgren one?
Yes. But then again, I would say Warzone is better than that one.
Green Lantern was better than this.
Shut it! You mouthy little... No, it was a great movie. Tons of action, a good story, and good acting. Like, they sprang for Travolta, who's one of the best actors ever. Say what you want about his personal life, but he's a great actor. Now, I would not say that that movie is better than the series. I think John Bernthal embodies the Punisher better than anybody ever can. Basically, like, he was born to be the Punisher. But of movies, Dolph Lundgren, I like that movie. I'll review it someday. He wasn't fantastic as the Punisher. I never bought it.
Can we both just agree that Netflix is like a bully? I mean, we're the starving people that they gave this beautiful feast that was the Punisher to, and then they just snatched it away.
Yep. I'll agree with you there.
They keep doing that with their shows.
Daredevil, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones. It's not just the Marvel shows, though. Glow.
Ugh.
I think it's got one more season, and then that's it.
They announced one more season, then they went, no,
So we're not even getting a last season?
no.
So again, we don't know what happens?
And we don't get to know what happened at the next part of Dark Crystal.
Yeah, that made me mad too. Especially because I waited, 30 years for more Dark Crystal?
Why do you hate your fans?
Yeah, Netflix, why do you hate us? So for my last overrated, underrated, I'm going to do another one that I just feel is overrated. Don't get me wrong, I love Robert De Niro. And I will not deny that he did a good acting job in this movie. But I'm sorry, for my money, Taxi Driver was really overrated.
I agree. Yeah, it was.
It was. I mean,
I loved the movie, I do.
it's not that it was horrible. It was just that it was so hyped up. Everybody telling me, oh, it's a classic. You got to see it. It's so great. And there's a couple of parts that get intriguing, but for the most part, it lags and it's very boring.
I will say this. It is a masterpiece in the sense that quality of film, this is what we need to be aspiring to. But the story itself, the plot, it dragged and it wasn't that great.
Well, not to mention, at the end of the movie, my reaction was like, so what was this about?
A
Like
guy with a mental disorder.
yeah, but there was like no real plot, there was no real end, there was no reason for it.
The only reason for this movie was to make us not feel guilty about that beautiful, young, sweet thing, Sybil Shepherd, you goddess.
Oh,
What do you think I was talking about? Jodie Foster? Do I look like I'm about to assassinate a president just to get her attention? Dude, she was just a kid.
Okay, so good. There's one we agree on. Taxi Driver. Overrated.
On my end, I gotta say, one movie I found deeply underrated, beautifully done comedy, Mike Myers, So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh, that's what you're going to say was underrated? Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. But for a second, I thought you were about to start praising the love guru.
But this movie was exquisite. Mike Myers plays two characters in this. His main character and his own character's dad.
For Mike Myers comedies, yes, this movie was underrated. But what made it, to me, more underrated is this is, like, pretty forgotten by people. Whereas, in my opinion, it was actually better than some of his biggest comedies. Like, So I Married an Axe Murderer, in my opinion, was funnier than the Austin Powers movies. Not that they weren't funny, but it was funnier. It was funnier than the Wayne's World movies. Again, not that those weren't funny.
Maybe the first one, but you gotta admit Wayne's World 2 definitely overshadowed it, but still.
Okay, but yeah. The writing in it was just really, really good. And it was a really original, well thought out piece. And it was really funny. And it even had an incredibly funny cameo with the late, great Phil Hartman, who played John Johnson. But they call him Vicky.
That story he tells. And this movie was also my introduction to Nancy Travis and the long crush that would last on her.
This movie was your introduction to Nancy Travis?
First time I remembered seeing her.
Mine was 3 Men and a Baby. Mike Myers playing his Scottish dad, probably the best character in the movie. But yeah,
Check it out.
it really, if you haven't seen that, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's a really funny movie. So I'll agree with you on that one. Underrated.
For this next underrated, one of the most underrated movies I've ever seen, did not get the love it deserves, even though it had such a powerful actor. Daniel Day-Lewis, starring alongside Winona Ryder, Joan Allen, and the late great George Gaines.
Yes, George Gaines. Ah, George Gaines. We miss you, Commandant Lassard.
Now you're in heaven with Punky.
Soleil Moon Frye is dead?
Not yet. Well, I'm not going to do anything to her. We all die eventually. God, you're so dark.
Yeah, I just don't want her to end up dead and then blaming this. Going like, yes, the comedians clearly stated. No, just that one.
You're going off topic here.
Yeah.
We're talking about, of course, the movie by Arthur Miller, The Crucible.
Don't get me wrong, it was a good movie. It was. But I don't know if I can say it was underrated. It definitely wasn't overrated, because honestly, I had heard about it when it was coming out, and then I kind of forgot about it for years until I finally saw it. And it was good, but there were so many parts of the movie that just dragged on. Just really did.
Burn the witch! Sorry. Don't talk about what you don't understand. Shut up. Don't.
I understand.
This movie was spectacular.
It's-
Daniel Day-Lewis, the one white guy that nobody cared about, playing a Native American because he was just so good. He also played Abraham Lincoln, Bill the Butcher.
Okay, I'm not going to say that Daniel Day-Lewis isn't a fantastic actor. And not only is he a fantastic actor, but he'll drink your milkshake. Yes, he drinks your milkshake. However, again, I said the movie was good, and it was good. It wasn't historically accurate. It's about the Salem witch trials, in case you're wondering. But it just, again, there were so many parts where it just lagged. It just really okay, get to it already. It was a long movie.
It's not good. It is not well done. It is nay, not spectacular. It is scrumtralescent. One of the greatest things that ever happened to me. One of the greatest achievements of film since the invention of fire! Don't you ever knock this movie again or I will kill you.
I wasn't knocking it.
Shut your whore mouth. Winona Ryder, always beautiful, always spectacular. Most good, Newman. Most good.
Again, though, I never said it wasn't a good movie. It was. It's not as fantastic as you're saying. It's a movie I think you guys should see. But again, I will strongly say it's not historically accurate. So don't watch it for historical accuracies, and don't go on the internet complaining like, oh, Winona Ryder's character was actually only 12 during the time.
I thought the film was very historically accurate.
What?
Why would movies do anything based off a real story if they're not going to be 100% accurate?
Because sometimes history is not as entertaining.
Are you telling me that Caesar never walked on the moon?
Yes.
You telling me that cowboys never fought aliens from outer space?
Yes.
Are you telling me that Billy the Kid never faced Dracula?
Yes.
And are you telling me that Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt did not save Sharon Tate from being murdered by the Manson family?
Yes.
Sharon Tate's still alive and well, dude. Look it up. She played Harley Quinn.
You have all the logic of a flat earther. Flat earther you are.
Deny, dude. If the Earth was really round, Australia would be real.
Australia is not a myth! I've seen it!
How come when I drive straight, that I'm not going over anything?
You do. You're just drunk and you don't realize it.
To quote Tila Tequila, if the Earth really is round, why aren't buildings slouched over?
Well, to both you and Tila, I'm no architect, but I'm pretty sure that when they make a house, what they do is they make this thing called a foundation, which they make sure is level so that your house isn't tilted, but the ground itself is not necessarily flat. I mean, for crying out loud, dude, there's a famous area in San Francisco where there's a bunch of houses on a really steep hill. Like, really steep. So
Never
steep.
said hills weren't real, dude. Just if you're going to build a house, don't build it on a hill. Duh.
But they did. A lot of them. And people in those houses aren't sitting there like, this sucks.
Just like the scientists, man. It's all conspiracy and you know it. Round earther, right? Woo!
So there you have it. Jurassic Park, overrated.
Not overrated.
Tom Jane's The Punisher movie, underrated.
Overrated.
Taxi Driver, overrated.
Yeah.
So I Married an Axe Murderer, underrated.
Underrated.
And The Crucible, Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure to hit like. Hit subscribe. Hit that little bell so you get notifications from when we post new videos. And leave a comment. Tell us if you agree with our overrated or underrateds. Tell us some movies that you think are overrated or underrated.
And more importantly, let's get together and tell YouTube to stop with the round stuff. Make it all square like it really is.
Hate you. Love you guys.